Good afternoon, all. We're live. Remember to like, subscribe, comment to Daz TV. Delighted today to be joined by Kev O Sullivan, the LFC Daytrippers. Kev, how are you, mate?
I'm really good. Yeah, not too bad at all. Looking forward to the weekend. Not used to this, like, no kickoff at 12 o'clock stuff or 12:30. That's a bit weird. But
yeah,
waiting for 3 o'clock games to kick off now and relax for the day. Nice, quiet one, I think.
Yeah, same to myself. Yeah, a couple of good games on at 3, and then obviously I think the half-hour one with Brighton and Spurs will be very good as well.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow is the big one, 4:30 Super Sunday. Arsenal against Liverpool. Liverpool have only lost, I seen one game out of 14. Arsenal have only won one out of the last 14 league games against us. We have a great record playing Arsenal, home or away. Klopp has a great record against Arsenal. I think he might, as a manager, only have lost once against them. So, you know, Emirates tomorrow, Kev. Arsenal played 8-1-7, lost one against United in a game they didn't play too bad in. They're flying high this season. We're coming off a good win, but most importantly, a good performance against Rangers, where we didn't go to tried and trusted 4-3-3. You know, we were talking about it off air. It was 4-2-3-1, and depending on what way you play, it can be a 4-2-4. You know what I mean? It was all out attack, but a much improved performance, but it was only against Rangers. Rangers didn't think were great either, but it was a performance. It was a clean sheet. It's something good going into this game for us, isn't it, Kev? Tomorrow against Arsenal. And what's your thoughts on it, firstly, about tomorrow's game?
I'm quietly looking forward to it because I look at the way. I think for us anyway, the Arsenal game away, it's an easy game for the players to get up for, to get mentally right for. Whether they've been that way or not throughout the season, you don't know. Maybe they took some of it for granted. They weren't quite at it. If you're not at it tomorrow against Arsenal, you will be exposed. So I'm confident enough that they'll be mentally right. And I'm looking forward to it because Arsenal have beaten who they're supposed to beat. You know, with $250 million spent on that squad in the last 2 years, they should be beating the sides that they've played so far. You know, Spurs were the one that was supposed to be a test. And Spurs are atrocious. And Manchester United, you know, Arsenal were okay in the game, but United exposed them on the counter. And every side that Arsenal have played this season have given them chances. You know, they've gone behind a few times. They've always found they've gone in at halftime losing, and they've always come back and found a way to win. They're a more resilient side, and that comes with confidence. But we suddenly haven't got terrible at football in the space of a couple of months. We're still a really good side. Just needs something to click right for us. And what a great occasion and a great day for players to stand up and be counted tomorrow. I wouldn't say I'm quietly confident, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's put it that way. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same as myself. But I think we got to start organised tomorrow. As you said, mentally going into the game tomorrow. Like of late, there's been no intensity. We started sloppy. We've no tenacity in the game. And particularly last week against Brighton was awful start of the game. And it wasn't like teams are outplaying us. It's a lot of goals we're conceding. A lot of games where we've dropped results has all been our own down being. You know what I mean? I think Virgil van Dijk at the back has looked like he's only come back from the injury that he had rather than he was last season. It looks like you hear stuff around protecting himself at the World Cup. I don't think it's that, but just his performance has been fairly off. His command and his leadership would question. Look, it's gone right through the spine of the team. The 3 performers for so far this season, I think, has been Alisson, I think Diaz and Bobby are the only 3 really that's shown a lot of desire and heart for me. I think when Harvey Elliott has played, he's obviously showed desire and heart as well. But we got to get back, Kev, to, you know, starting off the game. I think we got to be more aggressive, more hungrier. We just got to be more organised and play. Liverpool need to be like Liverpool, you know, and if you're going to go tomorrow, I think, look, if we can go out tomorrow and we can score a first goal and we can get control of the game, Arteta always has a tendency of doing something mad. Let's test Arsenal. Arsenal at home tomorrow. There's pressure on them. There's pressure on us. But let's go out tomorrow and let's test these tomorrow. Let's get control of the game. I think, look, this Liverpool team, it doesn't become poor overnight. But a lot of performances this season, they've been so inconsistent. But we've been consistent at being inconsistent. If you get me, it just hasn't been for us. Like, I think after we beat Bournemouth 9-0, then we won't beat Newcastle. Even though, look, it was debatable, we could have lost that game as quick as we won it against Newcastle. You kind of think maybe there's something turning here a little bit, you know. And if we show more tenacity, more hunger, aggression, more intensity, and we're more like ourselves, we'll be a lot harder to beat. And then we go out against Everton, and you know it's 0-0, and then Napoli, you know, and then we had the break, and we've come back from it against Brighton. And I know I felt the break was going to suit us the best out of all the teams, but it was improved. Tuesday night we play Rangers. It was improved. It was a big win, the Champions League, obviously, to get out of the group, and we played them there Wednesday night in the next game at Ibrox. So we just got to keep. The point is, start games better and quicker and be much more commanding, aggressive, hungrier in games, and show that we're in a game, because we shouldn't have to go a goal or two down to wake up. And if we're going to be going a goal or two down, we're going to lose so many games this season, you know.
Yeah, you can't keep relying on comebacks. You know, it's as great as it is as a fan when you get a late winner. It's no way to go and win anything. You'll win nothing by playing like that. But the way I look at it, I think the break, I disagree. I think the break hurt us. It's the one thing that this side thrives on is repetitive games. You know, game every 3 days. They don't need to be on a training ground working on runs and where players are going to be.
Yeah.
A volume of games, get on a run, confidence comes from that. And I think the more you get, the more games we play, the better we're going to get, because we've done it in the past. We're probably one of the only sides, apart from City, who are capable of putting a long, sustained run together. And let's not remember, we've only lost one game. You know, it's bad. It could have been a lot worse if we didn't get those draws, and it would have been. It's bad enough now. It's not sugarcoat it. We're not in a good spot, and if we lose tomorrow, then it's a long haul back to get into challenging for anything.
It'd be the first time that we haven't won one of our first away games in the league since the Hodgson era in 10-11 seasons. So we don't want that to happen if we lose tomorrow. Now, look, I know things are a lot different to now, but tomorrow to have only have 2 wins, 4 draws, if we were to lose, and 2 defeats after 8 games, it's bad reading, you know. And then we throw on the performances. But what I suppose I meant by the break was, Kev, was that because we'd come off a horrible defeat and performance against Napoli, that the break came at a good time in that sense for us, because when you're losing, you can do the break. But I get you, like we thrive on fluidity and momentum and having that rhythm, and Klopp has spoke a lot about it before, but I think that's a lot better when we are winning. But at the moment we have looked shot, but it was a good win, and it was a good win for the group A that we're in the standings, and keeping a clean sheet on Tuesday night. Do you think we'll stick our twist, Kev, or will we go to tried and trusted 4-3-3 tomorrow? Do you expect this 4-2-3-1? Because I thought it was with good control in the game. I thought it was good protection for the fullbacks, and I thought overall it was just better for us, a suited there all-round game, I thought, with that lineup of the 4-2-3-1.
I think he'd be absolutely off his game if he went back to a 4-3-3. He doesn't have the players to do it. He doesn't have the players to do it the way he wants it done.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key thing. You said earlier about the players who were playing well for us. It's telling Bobby is playing well. He didn't play much last year.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The tried and trusted players that we go to have a lot of mileage in their legs and not a lot of time to get it out of their legs. We're straight back into pre-season, and it was a busy pre-season, probably too busy. Commercially, we were all over the place. We had to play games in different countries, in different climates, and then come back and then play a charity shield. Yeah, it was too much. It was way too much. And the thing is, you have to look at it where we are now and think, look at who's fit, look at who's available. I look at if you're playing a double pivot in any side, you need 2 to start and 1 to cover. You know, 1 to come off the bench and 1 to rotate and keep it fresh that way. We actually have the forwards. You know, if you look at you have Darwin, Jota, Bobby as your 3 nines. You have Salah on one side, you have Diaz on the other side, you have Carvalho as his backup, and you have Harvey Elliott who can play on the right. We've got the numbers there to do that, but we don't have the numbers to play 3 in midfield and have players coming off the bench because of to keep the players who are out with Naby, with Curtis coming back,
Ox out
as well. There's no point in talking about transfer windows because it doesn't matter. But we are where we are today, so deal with what you have, and it suits the players that we have to stick with 4-2-3-1. Plus, I think it's a better system. I think the way we can attack and defend within that system with the players that we have, with Trent as like your quarterback almost, on the right hand side, and Tsimikas overlapping on the left, gives you that variety that you can attack different ways from different sides of the pitch, and it's harder to set up for us. For sides like Arsenal who don't know what we're going to do. Klopp was saying in his press conference, we need to be not predictable. We've been as predictable as the day is long for the last 5 years. You know what I mean? We play 4-3-3. The players run in this direction. The midfield are your engine room, and they'll pen you in, and the fullbacks will hurt you from wide. It hasn't changed in years. The thing is, we were really good at doing it, and sides couldn't figure out how to get out. And the really, really good sides, the likes of Madrid, soaked up the pressure in the Champions League final and relied on a goalkeeper to bail them out. It wasn't a case that Madrid were master tacticians and
they'd one chance, one goal.
They'd one chance, one goal, and Courtois had the game of his life. So but the problem now is we're in a situation now where the players physically can't do what he wants. They can't press and hem sides in midfield the way we used to. So you have to adapt to that. And if the players are getting that bit off, let's face it, Thiago's 29, Henderson's 31, Fabinho, Henderson,
James Milner, 47.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like you have to adapt to how they're physically able to impact games as well. And if you haven't got the legs in that part of the pitch, you have to accommodate the legs elsewhere. And we have the legs up front, out wide, to be able to hurt sides and get at sides, and it's not alien to these sides to these players because playing a 4-2-4, a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it, they've done it at international level before, and we've changed within games to play that system. Usually when we're behind, to chase games, but if you start off in that system, Trent tends to be the one that holds back a bit. Whereas if you're trying to chase a game, Trent gets involved as well. And he leaves the centre backs 2v2 or 2v1 and goes hell for leather. But if you're starting off the game, you can be a bit more controlled about it. And I honestly think going forward, it's the way we have to move towards, because as good as we've been in the 4-3-3, unless you have radical change in the middle of the park, we can't do it anymore. We just can't. You look at Arsenal's midfield 3, and they're young, they have energy, and they can get up and down.
Odegaard wasn't have played last week. The 3 in midfield last week against Spurs, and I was Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, and then I think they'd Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli then was out on the list. And he was very good. But you're right that they're very young, creative, energetic, and obviously that experience now as well. I think Odegaard is doing very good for them. But like tomorrow, if you're looking at Liverpool lining up in a 4-2-3-1, who are you going with, Kev? Who's your team? And I'll just ask you now while we're on this. Who's your 1 to 11 for the tomorrow?
I think there's an argument to be made about Ibu coming back in. I think it'll probably be a bit too early for him. I think he'll come in for Rangers. Trent, right back. I think it'll be the same back 4 as
massive because Robbo's not back yet either,
Robbo's not back. I think Robbo hopefully might be back for Rangers as well. Alisson, obviously. I think I would go with Fabinho and Henderson. Whether Thiago's fit or not,
would you go with Fabinho over Thiago? Yeah,
I'd go with Fabinho over Thiago because I don't want Thiago playing 3 games in a week.
Okay, yeah. And he wasn't involved in the training yesterday. Well, we don't know whether he done some gym work yesterday or he scheduled, but he's not injured as far as I can tell anyway. And what I've heard, he's prepared for. He's going to be in the squad for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he'd be in the squad, and I have no problem with him being in the squad. But I think I'd start with Fabinho and Henderson, and when you need, because you will need to change it in the game just to give players rest. We've got I think the next 23 days.
Huge fixture list coming up. A lot of football. We've another 7 games this month.
This defines our season. This month defines our season and what we can try to achieve. So that's the only reason. Look, Thiago, I love him. I think he's a fantastic footballer. But I protect him and his minutes for the long run by playing Fabinho and Henderson, because even if you get a half an hour out of him tomorrow and you get another 30 minutes or 60 minutes out of him on Wednesday, he's right for Man City. He'll have played 90 minutes in a week and he's right for next weekend. And you're not losing much in the position that you want him to fulfill, which is, you're standing in front of the back four. You don't advance in front of the ball. Henderson's passing versus Rangers was outstanding. Those little curl big goals. He was brilliant. And the thing is, I think that's his best role. He can't do the up and down what an 8 does. And it's stupid to ask him to do it when he physically can't. So don't. Play him in a double pivot with Fabinho. It's aggressive enough. They can both pass the ball. They can both defend and read the game really well. And then my front four, this is a tough one because Salah and Diaz. Yeah, Salah and Diaz obviously start. I think Firmino starts, and I think Nunez starts. I think Jota will be the one off the bench. Jota will be on the bench. So when you want to change it on the hour, and you will want to change it on the hour, you can bring on Elliott and Jota to maybe
have that fresh leg, energy, and activity.
I'd rather Jota coming on with half an hour to go with his legs to get in behind than Bobby. I'd rather Bobby start, given what he can do in that 10 role, that second striker role. Plus, he's in good form, and he loves a goal against Arsenal.
He does, and he's in great form. He is careful. It's coming back. His ball retention, his work rate, we know has never been questioned. Brilliant, but he's getting goals now, and he's also, not only is he getting goals, he's involved in assists. I think he's 5 goals or 3 or 4 assists this season, and he's just a handful. And he'll thrive and relish the task ahead against Arsenal. Because Arsenal, look, they've conceded less goals than us in the league. They've scored, I think, 1 more. We've scored 18. We've conceded 9. They've, I think, scored 20 and conceded 8. So there's not a lot in the difference in where we're at. I think that we blew it out of water, didn't we, with the goals?
Bournemouth masks an awful lot of sins, doesn't it?
Yeah, Saliba and Gabriel, I think, will be the centre backs tomorrow for Arsenal, and Bobby will thrive on that. But look, Bobby, as you said, very experienced, very composed player, unbelievable, and has started off the season on the right foot. Probably a little bit surprising because we probably didn't expect first of all to see him as much as we are, and secondly, when we did, because of the game time he's getting, it's hard for someone to have an influence. We're going to touch on to Nunez in a minute, Kev, because I want to hear your perception on Darwin Nunez. I think, look, for me, tomorrow, I agree with you. I would probably like to see Thiago, but then you have me thinking different now with the games coming up, because you've obviously Rangers, you've City, you've Forest, you've West Ham. You've 7 games in the next 3 weeks. So a lot of games, a lot of rotation, a lot of players, like Thiago gets a fair share of injuries. You want to be protective. So I understand that one. And Fabinho was rested during the night. He owes us a good performance. Henderson was brilliant during the night, so it would make sense maybe it would to go with Henderson and Fabinho. And then for me, I'm going with Salah, Bobby, Diaz, and maybe Jota, because he likes a goal against Arsenal. He is a handful. He's a bit more ruthless and clinical when you need him to be, probably more so than Nunez. But I can't disagree with you either. Stephen Murphy. Stephen Murphy told me the spine is getting old. Liverpool need to be looking to bring in younger players to replace these guys down the line. Fabinho midfield will be Liverpool's key man tomorrow. I fear Jota and Firmino. Good shout there, Stephen. Well, I assume if he's talking about I fear Jota and Firmino, he fears what they'll do to Arsenal. Is that what he means? Fabinho midfield would be and that's why I said he got well rested midweek. He owes us a good performance. Generally, Fabinho is it's the general midfield. You know, he's very good, fabulous Fabinho, as I do say. But we'll be looking to bring in younger players to replace these guys down the line. Yeah, because look, in the summer, we're not going to touch on it, but I'll just say briefly, Milner, Keita, Ox, all out of contract in the summer. Yeah. Probably all are definitely, I think, should be gone now at this stage next summer. Maybe Milner into another role, whatever, and coaching or whatever Liverpool do him in the background. But we've business to be done in midfield, we know, between January and then next summer, you know. So that's kind of a different topic, isn't it, Kev? And that's something that we're all agree on, you know. Arthur's come in now to Liverpool. We haven't seen him. He's picked up a muscular injury, which is very disappointing because very experienced player again. Just talk of will we buy him? I'm not so sure, but we need to see him. Curtis Jones is back. Jones, I love, but hasn't been getting the game time. Has had a lot of injuries. So it's I think overall for Liverpool, the frustration is how we're all feeling. How the availability of players has been hugely disappointing. So
if you're winning games, you're not worried. If you're winning games, you're not bothered by the injuries because you look forward to him coming back. The thing is with Curtis, the injuries that he had, we won't know how he's reacted to them until he trains because they're stress related. And Gerrard there's a lot of players at that age have this problem, and it feels like shin splints, only worse. And it's to do with their body growing at that age, and it wasn't like last time when he come back from injury. It wasn't until he started training that he re-aggravated it. And the thing is, when he's on the pitch, you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get pure commitment. His technical ability is right there, and he just needs a bit of luck. That's all he needs. He's got a long-term future at the club, purely and simply because if you go about replacing him, you have to go replacing him with an English player. You know what I mean? We have the quota issues as well, and so the biggest problem that you have and I think I wouldn't be waiting till the summer. I think January is an important window for us because that midfield needs help, and they're going to have to do something, I think, in January to try to address it, if it's a short-term fix to get you 2 years. You know, I think that's what Arthur was. Arthur was a panic buy, but he was. It never usually works out well. Technically, he's a brilliant footballer.
Brilliant, technically, very experienced.
He's another one. Will his body let him do what he wants to do? Don't know. And the way the situation is at the minute, it was a good deal to do because we needed a body. Juventus wanted him out. And we have the option. We're paying only a portion of his wages. Juventus are picking up the rest. It's no risk. So I had no problem with that. But that midfield is going to need some help in January for sure.
Tuesday night, Rangers, Kev, we went with Henderson, Thiago there, and you'd mentioned someone I'd said jot it ahead, but Nunez up front. Good game, very good game, played 80 minutes, got a good send-off with the fans, did a lot but didn't score. No problem. He's had less, but he's had 250 minutes. With the other night, he's probably had closer now to whatever 300 minutes or over of football. He scored 2 goals. He's had an assist or 2. Has had very little impact because he's only come on late in games. Like the week before against Brighton, he comes on the 87th minute.
Yeah.
You know, like with extra at a time, you're talking 5 minutes, and Brighton were at that stage really run down the clock. What do you think of Nunez? Because there's a bit of a narrative, you know, amongst our own fans and obviously others. Look, for me, before you got into it, Kev, like, he's 23. He's only turned 23. It's a new culture, playing the toughest, hardest league there is. Was always going to take time to settle and was going to be given the time. You know, where Haaland was a different ball game at City because, you know, he knew some of the club. His dad was there, was a fan of them. Haaland has been doing it for years, scoring goals. He's more goals in the Champions League than he does appearances. For Darwin Nunez, a different type of player, a different stage of development. Different league, different culture. Everything was different for them. We've seen Klopp bring in players before that have turned out to be world beaters, and it's taken them time to hit the ground because he hasn't just thrown them in. He was never going to do that with Nunez, I didn't think. But there's a bit of, he comes in the Community Shield, glorified friendly. Me and you done something that day before the Kevin. We talked about it. You know, and we did play it down whether we won it or lost it, and we were saying it'd be nice to win it because when you look at Klopp's era, you see him posing with all the honours, and it was good to. We'd already got to 2, I think, Community Shield finals and hadn't won it, and so it was time to win one. Always good to beat City. We beat them that day. Nunez comes on, an assist, wins a penalty, doesn't it? Gets a goal, and looked really lively and sharp. Fulham then, first game of the season, we were poor. He gets a goal. 1 or 2 good performances after that, but I think he was let himself down by missing the 3 games that we had in a week. Where there was United and was it Bournemouth and then Newcastle, so he was banned for 3 of those games, and I think he does more in those games and helps us to do better in those games if he's playing, and I think he does play in them, because at the time we had a lot of injuries as well, do you remember? Very little availability. So I'm thinking, what do you think of Nunez? What's in I
really like him. I love everything about his game. Every game that he's played, he's been a threat. And Rangers game, I thought he was brilliant. I picked him on our post match as our man of the match, purely and simply because of the volume of chances that he created. He's running off the ball. He's running into channels. His hold-up play was brilliant. But I'll worry about him if he starts hiding. As long as he's not hiding in games, he'll get chances. There was I think in the first couple of minutes against Rangers, he had that one volley off his right foot, and it was just an absolute rasper of a shot. And on the night, the keeper was outstanding. He made some brilliant saves.
Was unbelievable. Yeah, he was. He was unbelievable.
He made some outstanding saves. And another night, he gets a hat trick. He gets the match ball.
Yeah, he does.
And he would have deserved it but even in the other games, he's always a threat, be it aerially or in behind. And I think when you're going into a game against Arsenal with the way they play, they don't sit in. They're not going to be like Spurs who are going to park the bus. They will give you chances in behind, and you want someone who can run in behind. And he's, for a guy who's 6'2", he is rapid. He's probably the quickest forward we have at the club, him and Diaz. And I'd nearly put the house on him scoring tomorrow, or getting chances. He'll be he'll get chances to score tomorrow. It's up to him to take them. When you got Harry Ramsden and goal for Arsenal, he's going to fumble something. So you're going to need someone who can chase in and look for second balls, look for scraps. I mean, look, we paid all the money for him, and he is all the money at 60-odd million that we paid for him. But at the same time, you've got him for 5 years. It's not 5 minutes. You know, we don't sign a player for 5 years and expect the world in the first 2 months. We've never operated like that, and it's not the right way to look at a transfer. The media are going to hype it because it's Haaland and because they need some kind of a narrative to sell Haaland. Haaland's an absolute freak. He's not interested he doesn't play football. Haaland doesn't get involved in anything until it's in the 18-yard box. He tucks it in and he runs away and he does his little celebrations. And if you're not triple captaining him this week, I hope to God he's playing. But he's just an absolute freak. And I don't expect Darwin to be doing that. But I expect him to be able to work within what we want to do. And I think it's the first time in years that we've had a proper 9 that you can play off and play around. For all of Origi's qualities, Origi was a late substitute for moments. And that's what he was. He was for moments in games, and he was to play in the League Cup to give the lads a rest. That's what his job was. Wasn't he? Because he had a goal in him. Yeah, that was his job. Darwin's a different animal. He's the kind of guy who's going to be your mainstay. He's your centre forward for the next 5 years, and everyone's going to have to work around him. It's noticeable that Salah's game has changed to be more a provider than to be the man who's the goal scorer. And he's getting lambasted for it, but his game is going to evolve. As he gets older, he can't be doing what he used to do. And we want him to be around. And he's got a great football brain. So over time, that relationship, that partnership is going to work wonders. So I love him. I love everything about him. I love the fact that he's a threat in behind and that we can get wide and put crosses. Constantly dangerous, Nunez was. He was instinctive. He was getting behind. His movements were really good. He was getting strikes, some on target, some not.
But for a player that has played very little and inconsistently for us, and obviously defended the 3 games that he was where he was fit, it would have been frustrating for him.
Yeah.
Like his running in the channels, his turning back, his attempted cutback, I think that he had and failed to get to someone. Like it's looking positive when he plays, but
the only thing that I have a problem with, and it'll come with time with him, is Chris was saying this the other night, and he was dead right. He's trying to hit the back off the ball. Suarez did the same thing when he first joined. Everything is like full power instead of just like caressing it into the far corner.
That's it. Just being easy, being composed for it.
That's nous. That's experience.
Well, he's probably trying too hard. Is he, Kev?
Yeah, he is. I mean, at the end of the day, he knows the feed that he came for. All these players see social media as well. They all listen to the radio. And they've all been told what people are saying about them. They're not stupid.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I honestly think one will go in off his arse and he'll go on a run. He looks like that kind of a striker. He looks like a streaky kind of.
He just needs to stay available for us, Kev. If he stays available, and as you say, he doesn't go hiding, he'll get the chances. The goals will come with that. Maybe not the goals that we expect because he's still learning development, and you obviously need a bit of luck in them. And if you have keepers like McGregor and keepers getting the rub of the green, then you can't always do it. But once he's performing, once he's available,
once he's getting the chances, and once he's taking the chances, I don't mind keepers making saves. He's got to improve his finishing technique for sure. He's got to learn instead of wrapping it as hard as you can at a keeper. You watch him when he heads the ball. He heads the ball with like pure intent. There's venom behind it. He gets his whole body into it. So I just think it'll come with time with him. And once he gets 1 or 2, I mean, tomorrow's ideal. Tomorrow for me, with Arsenal, the way they play.
You'll be given chances.
Yeah, but the way they play, the way Arsenal play, they will give you chances in behind. If we can win the ball, if we can break their play up, 1-2 pass, you're gone. And you're looking, for me, the key for the game tomorrow is what Zinchenko does. If Zinchenko or whoever plays at left back tucks into midfield and vacates that space where Gabriel is left one-on-one with Mo Salah. Gabriel is impulsive and he's rash and he will lunge in.
He plays out on that left side as well. The centre half.
He's a walking red card for me. Saliba hasn't been tested. As good as he's looked, and he's looked composed, and he's looked really good so far, he hasn't really been properly tested. So we'll see what he's like tomorrow when he's got 4 Liverpool players running at him, and cope with that. See how you get on. Thomas Partey, walking red card. Granit Xhaka, walking booking. The mental scars of not getting results against Liverpool are still in their heads.
Yeah, of course. And look, I mean, last season they came. It was around, I think it was November last year. They come to Anfield and they were quite confident, but obviously nowhere near as confident as now. And they started off the game well, and they done some good stuff in it. And they were torn apart 4-0, and Arteta's head went. And we just turned up on the day. We were more composed. We played. We went toe to toe with them, and we took our chances. And we, as the game went on, the atmosphere, everything. Now, look, tomorrow it's going to be different. The fans are going to be right behind Arsenal. It's at the Emirates. But we got to go and be professional tomorrow. And I don't know, Kev. I'm looking forward to it. I am. I only said to people, and it was good to just get a win, John. No matter who was against, with any team, got a win, kept a clean sheet, tried a new system. Things looked a lot better than what they did last Saturday. It gives me some hope going into tomorrow. So maybe Darwin Nunez start. Yeah, you could be right. We'll go with that with Salah. And then Diaz has been excellent all season. I mean, he's been good. He's been the front foot. He's been good at getting back. He's been good at dribbling, at passing. He's just had everything in his locker. And that was a player we signed in January. And from January, hit the ground running. Started this season and has had more goals, I think, than what he did in January to the end of last season. But his performance has been brilliant. He's been available, and he looks to be that aggressive, hunger, wants to play, is enthusiastic, and that's what we want. And we want someone with that just, they want to play, they want to do it for us. And there hasn't been a lot of that this season in terms of performances. But we got to get back now to getting some run together, because the next few weeks, they're pivotal before this break, particularly with City coming up, West Ham, for us, the Champions League, group stage, that'll be over with now. In another 3 or 4 weeks, we've Napoli at home. Yeah. So that's going to be, and look, we'll probably more likely get second in the group at this stage, but we'll qualify.
That's it. I mean, look, one thing on Diaz, I wish he would take his fullback when he gets him on a booking, and he does regularly get his right back on a book. Go outside him just once in a while instead of cutting back in and looking to take 1-2 touches and get a shot off. Go in on your left. Just go in on your left-hand side. Force him into making a mistake. Force him into thinking that you can go both ways. Salah is guilty of this as well.
Yeah,
it frustrates the life out of me.
When it does.
It was worse with Salah because Mourinho used to play a right-footed player at left back because he knew that Salah always wanted to cut back into his stronger foot. So you're coming back into your left back with a right foot. Who's stronger on that side. I don't want to see Luis Diaz become predictable. And I think his pace should scare the living daylights out of someone like Ben White. Yeah. As good as he is.
Yeah. He's better. Look, I mean, it wasn't long ago Arsenal fans were, I think the name for Ben White was the Seaside Mustafi, Now all of a sudden he's become so big. Look, Arsenal have had a great season so far. They've lost one game. They've won 7 out of 8. The Europa League game should expect it. They won 3-0 draw night at home on Thursday night. They had a lot of players rested. They're going to be up for this game. They have improved under Arteta, but we're probably going to be their biggest test. Absolutely. Although they're at home, we're going to be a big test for them. But we just got to turn up and make sure we are going to be their biggest test and not have, we got to stop these excuses. What do you think of Salah, Kev? He started off the season, he's still getting amongst the goals. Obviously, he's had a couple of penalties he scored. What do you think? I think
he looks a bit frustrated in himself. I think he's another one. I think this system, the freedom that he's going to get from it, will help him out a lot. I'm not worried about his goal output because he'll get goals. He'll get chances. It's his in-game threat. I don't know if he's lost a yard of pace. I don't think he's as quick as what he was on the ball. But he hasn't lost any of his heart or determination to chase back and do the hard yards going the other way. The third goal for Brighton ultimately started with his mistake. When he tried to lunge out and nick a ball to try to get on the counter. Possibly the right thing to do, but you're 3-2 up. You don't need to lunge. They needed to come and break us down. And by him lunging, it created a space for Brighton to work into, and everything flowed from that. It's little things with a lot of the players. It's giving the ball away cheaply. It's poor decisions at the wrong time. Not brave enough in certain situations. Salah's too good a player not for him to come right. And he's another one where, you're right, Arsenal are in terrific form. They've beaten everyone who's put in front of them, bar United, and they've done it looking really good. And because of the way they play, and because, they talk about our high line. Arsenal's high line is no different. And if you can get second runners from midfield to break that line, you've got the players in Trent, in Henderson, in Virgil who can find that ball over the top.
Talking, sorry there, Kev, just something remind me there. When we talk about how good Arsenal are, they haven't kept a clean sheet at home in the league since March when they beat Leicester 2-0. So they're there for the taking, and we're out attack. If we're on it, of course, and we are always going to need to rub the green with the look. But Ramsdale, for me, he's suspect. He's someone we got to target tomorrow and got to make sure we walk.
He's one that you don't mind having a couple of long shots because he spills a couple. He'll spill a couple, and a lot of his saves are for the cameras.
Of course.
He's good with his feet, but the way Arsenal play out from the back, they've still got that belief that they can play through anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, we're going to play through you. They can't go long because they've got no one aerially who can
do they still
challenge Matip and Virgil. So
you still
they
think,
have to go short.
do you still think, and this is just my opinion, I don't know what you think about this, it'd be interesting to hear, as good as Arsenal are, they still lack that bit of bite and steel, and that real, like, that steel and leadership in the team. Would I be right in saying that? That's from my assessment of Arsenal. They don't have like the Vieira or whatever they had before. They just lack that kind of leadership and that real leader for them, and that steel that you need, whether that's in the centre of the park or at the centre back, and that in the real spine of the team. For me, I look at Arsenal and they could collapse at any time. They could be weak. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be... Look, Arsenal could beat us tomorrow and they could get a big win. But it wouldn't surprise me either if we went out tomorrow and got a big win against Arsenal, and they just faltered completely. Next couple of weeks are going to be interesting for them as much as it is for us. But would you agree with that, Kev, or do you think now they've enough? And
I think they bought really well. Some of the players they brought in, like Fabio Vieira, they've needed to do this kind of spin for a long time, and they were hampered for years because of the stadium, and the fact that they're out. Yeah, the fact that they were out of the Champions League as well for so long. The problem they're going to have, they have to get top four because of the amount of money that they've spent. They bought well, and they bought at the right age group for these players to stay together and to develop together. And as long as that works, as long as that plan works, and they get into the Champions League and you get the revenue from the Champions League, going forward, Arsenal are going to be a serious side. At the minute,
they need the Champions League. If they don't get the Champions League this season, they're in serious trouble. They got to. They're not going to win the league this season. I'll say that now. Arsenal won't. I think even the most optimistic or deluded Arsenal fan can't think they're going to win the league this year, because they're not.
They're not.
You have to be realistic at times. They're doing great. They're enjoying this run that they're on. The one big test they had this season away at Old Trafford, where they actually played well, they
got caught by their inexperience.
Yeah,
they got caught by inexperience.
And that's what I'm going to, like, that steel, that kind of bit of bite, that leadership in the team they just lack. I think tomorrow, again, it's another big game for them, but regardless of the outcome tomorrow, Arsenal ain't going to win the league. I can tell you that now.
No, of course not. But you go back to when we signed Milner. Milner on a free that time was the absolute right signing that we needed. Not for what he could do on the pitch, but for the leadership and the example that he set to players off the pitch. Brought everyone on leaps and bounds. And it's the one thing that you look at Arsenal, and they've bought good, young, hungry players. I think Granit Xhaka has been reinvented.
Good as well, some of them,
Yeah, Granit Xhaka has been reinvented as a footballer, and he's almost like been the unsung hero for Arsenal this season. But I still think they could do with that Milner type of signing, that pro's pro, who players look up to on the pitch and who will run through brick walls for, and sets the standards for the club going to their next level. The next 5 years. It's like, I think they're in a really good spot, but the pressure that they're under is huge. They have to get top four by hook or by crook. And you look at the sides who are going to be going for it. City are going to walk away with the league, and sides who wished for us to beat City or for City to beat us last season and every year because it's Liverpool are going to get their wish this season. This season is going to be a pedestrian. They're just going to walk away with it and turn the Premier League into a farmers' league for the top. But you've got Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, United chasing 4 spots. Now, we're in a bit of a dip at the minute, but that won't last. I think United are still a massive experiment. They don't look right. They look way off of where they need to be. Chelsea, anything could happen with Potter. That dressing room has sacked more managers than anyone in the league.
They've lost a lot of experience, even in the recruitment area, isn't it? And
from top to bottom, that club has been completely changed. And then you look at Spurs, I think Conte is looking for ways out. I honestly look at Conte. The thing is with Spurs fans,
very boring sport for the team that they have and the players and for what he's bought.
For what they're used to as well, Spurs fans like a certain way of playing. And if they're not winning, Conte's football is fine. And it's
Too
accepted.
pragmatic.
It's accepted if you're winning. But as soon as you're not winning, they'll turn on it in a second because it's horrible to watch. And if it's not successful and horrible to watch, and he won't change. So once you get that concoction together, again, that dressing room has got Mourinho sacked. It's got the Nuno Espirito Santo sacked. You look at Juventus maybe looking for a manager. So, I don't think all's right with Spurs at the minute either.
What's his name was linked to United? Pochettino,
yeah.
So, I feel well enough with them, like getting to a Champions League final.
Oh, today's the day as well. 7-year anniversary for Jurgen Klopp.
Klopp
anniversary today.
I was going to touch on that, Kev. Good stuff getting in there. Yeah, it is. Look, 7 years of Jurgen Klopp, he's won it all. He's won it all. He's won it the right way. He's had obstacles, barriers, everything in his way. He's been here during COVID. He's had obviously the loss of his parent. No fans for a long time. The emotional person that he is. That heavy metal football, the atmosphere and everybody involved. No doubt about it, an impact on us the season that it did. It had an impact on all of us.
I've seen your tweet. Do you think he's the best we've ever had?
Well, in my lifetime, yes. But in general, while we're on that, what I meant was the best as in now and what we've had in my lifetime. But in the club ever, look, longevity will tell, Kev. I think it's very hard to look past Paisley when 3 European Cups, the titles he won, the teams that he had to build. Following in the footsteps of Shankly that built the club and started the success going for Liverpool, won the first, was his FA Cup in 65. So it was, for me, I think Paisley edges it. I don't think you can say one was a lot better than the other. I think it's a toss of a coin between Shankly and Paisley. I think Paisley edges it because of the success, because of what he came into.
And he rebuilt as well.
We had to rebuild, and 3 European Cups. It's very hard. Like, some people tell me, the league is the bread and butter and the hardest, and I get it over 38 games consistency. But there's a reason
that European Cup when he
have more European Cups than leagues, and that's why. Yeah. So I think for me, Paisley, Shankly, because of the longevity and what they've done, the history and everything about them. But Klopp is going to be there if he can see out this term of his contract. If obviously he's in a rebuild now, to be honest, isn't he? Like, because there's midfielders that have to come in. We know, defensively we might have to do something in the not too distant future, and then obviously up front as well. So there's been rebuilding, but I mean, for Klopp, with what he's had, the whole thing of the nest bend and everything else, and like City have one of the best ever managers that this Premier League will ever see. He came into a City side that had already won titles, had a lot of money. Whatever he wants, he kind of gets in terms of transfer budgets, Pep, and we've been up against the ultimate. We have been. So for Klopp to have done what he's done, and he still has something that they don't have, which is that European Cup. And that's not a dig at them, by the way. It's just me praising Klopp and waxing the lyrics about him. So for me, Klopp, absolutely unbelievable. The best ever at the club. Time will tell he possibly could come on to be, because at this day and age, how hard it is, Kev. But for me at the moment, I just think Paisley edges it with Shankly there, and Klopp, there's no doubt about it for me,
I don't normally plug Daytrippers when I come on with you. But Gav did a great show with Phil and Keith going back. I think it's on our playlist. And if it's worth watching, where they rank all of the Liverpool managers from Shankly through to Klopp and everyone in between, in a tier system. It's worth the watch. It's a brilliant watch, and it's entertaining. And the lads go into it, and there's some surprises in there. There's definitely some surprises in there, but it's well worth a watch. For me, I think what he's achieved, given the obstacles that are in front of him, the financial constraints, the fact that we're run like a football club should be run, that we're self-sustaining, that we're not going cap in hand to owners every time we want new toys.
We've been let down by financial fair play massively as well.
Hugely. And it's to the shame of UEFA and the Premier League that we've been let down so badly. But I think to achieve what he's achieved in the manner of how he achieved it, and brought the fans with him, You know,
Yeah.
it's like when I see talk of Klopp out and all of that stuff, I'm looking at him like, will you ever go away? Do you have any recollection of what life before Klopp was like? We were regularly, the ambition was we might get into the top 4 this year.
Yeah,
you know, we might have give it the good old college try kind of. You look at now, we're in a massive downward trajectory at the minute where we've lost 1 game and we've strung of draws. Do you know what I mean? And that's what, and people are shitting the bed over where we are at the minute. Unless you're new to football and you think that what we're going through at the minute is somewhere normal. This ain't normal. Enjoy this while it lasts because it won't be around forever.
No,
we haven't had it this good since probably the mid-80s. And that's the truth. You know, as fans watching what we're watching, the success that we're having, and the fact that the ground is growing and there's more and more people in there to watch it, it's never been this good. And if you can't enjoy this, then maybe football isn't the sport for these people.
No, it's not.
You know,
maybe
and that's the thing. Like, you know, try something
wrestling
else.
or MMA or something, or maybe wrestling. Wrestling is kind of something that you can make up as you go along, and you can. It's fake entertainment, isn't it? Well, it's not real, but it's entertainment for sure.
Exactly.
But look, 7 years, he's looked a bit more refreshed at his press conference lately. At the start of the season, he was a little bit, you could tell he was a bit annoyed at certain things. But yesterday, he certainly looked really rejuvenated.
I think he knew what was coming. And I think he knew what the limits that the squad have in the tank for after the season that we had last year. It's easy to just write it off and say, yeah, we played every game. Think about that. We played every single game available to us and then had the shortest preseason or the shortest break between seasons ever. And then you have the Premier League who spent more money than God this summer.
Yeah.
And you're asking him to go again. I think he knew that we were going to struggle. That, you know, the players are going to have to really ride their luck and be right on it from day one. And when it wasn't, he shouldered an awful lot of the blame, like he always does. You know,
we've only lost 4 games in this calendar year, like all of 22 so far.
Virgil's still not been beaten in the Premier League in Anfield.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable.
This kind of stuff just doesn't happen. You know, the pre-Klopp days was like, you're going to, it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday and you sat there and you're like, oh, please God, I hope they win. I hope they win. Not like, I expect to beat this lot and I expect it to be good. You know?
Lewis was a lot.
I just think we're in a good spot at the minute, despite the score lines. And all of the problems that we're having at the minute. And there are legit problems within the squad at the minute. But I don't think it's radical changes that need to happen.
It's pivotal, pivotal now to keep players fit that we have available. And Kanate come back is huge, and Robbo coming back hopefully this week. Both of them come back is huge. But I've liked Tsimikas in the absence of Robbo. Robbo needed well-earned break. He did, you know, he wasn't performing well. But again, he's played so many game after game, relied upon.
Robbo was playing for Scotland in the World Cup qualifiers right up until June.
League as well, you know. Look, I'm looking forward to it, Kev. As you said, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. What's your prediction? I hate doing this because score predictions are just something when you normally do them, it doesn't happen, and it's hard to get. You know, really is. But what's your prediction?
Look, I've been stuck on 3-2. I think there's goals on both sides. I think the way that both sides play, the form that Arsenal are in, and the form that we can, the chances that we're creating, I think there's goals on both sides. I went for 3-2. I'll stick with that. I think Jota, I said last night, Jota get 2 and Virgil. But the more I'm thinking about it, it makes more sense for Bobby to start. So I'll go with Nunez to get a brace and Virgil to get 1 from the set piece. Because I think they're decent from set. I think we're really good from set pieces. And I think if you're playing Fabinho, Henderson, Matip, Virgil, Darwin, that's that's 5 players who are 6 foot and
It's for all, yeah.
You know,
Close to 7 foot, some of them.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot there. I think from set pieces, I think we can be really dangerous as well.
I was saying 3-2 as well, Kev. Believe it or believe it not, I think this will have goals. I think they'll score, we'll score. We got to get the first goal in this game. We got to get some control of it and not let the game get away from us. And I think if we can control it, if Fabinho, Henderson, Virg, Matip, Bobby, Salah, these players turn up for us tomorrow, we'll be okay. I do honestly think that. But we got to, from the get-go, as soon as that whistle goes, there's no time for, contemplating or time for errors or, going a goal down and having to come back, because we're only catching ourselves out. And a lot of times it's through our own stupid mistakes, not through a team just being better than us. So probably 9 out of 10 the goals we've conceded of late. We seem to go a goal behind in every game. But tomorrow we got to just come out more aggression, more hunger, go at these man to man. There's a thing there that just seeing there, Kev, popped up. Klopp has only lost one game in 18 competitive games ever against Arsenal between Dortmund and now. He's a great record. I think one of them he lost it might have been even the Community Shield that time on penalties to them. Or an empty Wembley during COVID. But for me on our day, we're better than Arsenal because we've a bit of everything and we've a little bit more that they don't, and that's the experience, that's that steel, that's that, that harmony we seem to have through good and bad times. So it's going to be difficult tomorrow. I said 3-2, so I'm not going to go and agree with you. I'm going to say 4-2, and I think we'll get it. And I'd love Darwin Nunez to score tomorrow. I really would, and have a good game and just play a part in it tomorrow, But that's if he starts. But if Jota has scored 6 goals in 8 league games against Arsenal. So he's a good record against them.
He's got a great record against them.
Yeah, so I'm not. It might be a flip for coin sort of thing, but I'm sure Klopp at this stage now knows who the team is. I'm sure that at this time now probably either on their way or close to getting to. They should
probably be there. Yeah, they'd probably be there now, to be honest. Train this afternoon and then fly down this evening.
Yeah, could be doing that. I'd imagine this afternoon be only a very, very light session just in prep for tomorrow. So, yes, Kev, great to have you on as always. Great to have your knowledge and experience on as well. Just shout out there to Klopp Talk TV. She said in a hi as well for you, Kev, and then and Diaz, he called me. That's not Diaz yet. I'm not there, not that level yet. And then to few of them that thrown in comments there, and to everybody that did tune in, remember to obviously subscribe as well and like and share this video and comment on it. When are you back on YouTube, Kev?
Post match tomorrow afternoon with Chris. So I'm just praying I'm just praying there's a positive result. Then I don't know. I'm back on next Friday night anyway on Trippers for the preview for the City game. But up until then, anytime, I don't know. I have no idea.
Any point, depending on how it goes, Kev, and what the availability is. But look, it's fair play just getting on straight after the game. I know it's not easy, especially of late when results have been good and people are emotional on it. And look,
it's been difficult to be honest.
Yeah, user only there to give analysis, though, user opinion. Yeah. I mean, and people should obviously respect that as well. And
the vast majority of people who come in the chat are respectful.
They're honest and know that stuff. Yeah, and that's what you want.
I got big shoulders.
Yeah.
Big shoulders,
you need that at times, but hopefully tomorrow, Kev, we can be all a lot happier, and it can be the start of a good run, because we got the point. It's only a matter of time before we put a run together, but we got to now. Big games coming up: City, Forest, West Ham. Champions League group games, a lot, particularly in October. Then we've only a couple in November, and then it's another 6-week break. So no excuses for me. No. This is the most available players we're going to probably have throughout the season. Let's go at Arsenal tomorrow. Let's beat them and show them that we are a better overall side and we are ahead of them in development. But it's no doubt going to be tough because they're not on top for no reason, Pleasure, Kev. Take care, mate. Thanks for coming on. And as I said, thanks to everybody as well for tuning in. And remember, tomorrow, Super Sunday, Arsenal, Liverpool. Come on, the Reds.